Hey everybody, I'm Joe DeGanzik, and this is Smarter Home Life. Happy Eclipse Day, or well, the end of it. It's Monday, the 21st of August, 2017. It was earlier was the eclipse. I'm sure everyone saw it or could see it here in North America. Anyways, if you were kind of in the path or whatnot, we had kind of a smaller eclipse. Here's a shot that I took just outside here, the home studios, so to speak, headquarters for Smarter Home Life here in Phoenix. So anyways, that happened, and I'm changing up the format of the Q&As a little bit, so we're going to move some things around, and basically we're going to get right to your questions. I do the Q&As twice a month, basically one that handles kind of the lighting side, one that handles home automation, and for your comments and questions that come in through the comments, which the comments, it's hard to find the comments. YouTube just doesn't make this easy. So the emails are better. Questions at smarterhomelife.com is the way to get a hold of me. And the most interesting ones go on the show, but otherwise I usually get back to you within a few days. And anyways, let's just jump into it right now. We've got just about 3 questions, and then we'll have another, so this is the one for home automation, and we'll have one for LED lighting. Kind of, it's a little bit home automation, but it's kind of lighting, so I'm going to dedicate a whole show because I've got one really good question on it, and it kind of needs some more demos than I can do with this particular backdrop. So let's jump right into it. These, like I said, came in July of this year. So from Jackie Hirata, I believe, comment on the premise lock. And you can see that there's an entire review. I'll link to it up there in the corner, and it'll be in the show notes and so forth. So just off to my right, your left, maybe that is, but anyways, I'm pointing to my right. You can see back there on the door the premise smart lock. This is from Kwikset. It's a HomeKit only smart lock. They make multiple variations of the same device. Basically, it looks very, very similar. The guts are very similar. They make one for Z-Wave. They make one for Zigbee. They make one also that literally is just the touch screen on the front of it, and it operates the smart lock with no other connectivity. But that one is the question. So Jackie, I don't know if Jackie's a girl or a guy. It could be either. Anyways, does this lock require any type of wireless home setup or hub? And the basic answer is no. So it's a HomeKit product, which means that at its most basic, you can control it right from your phone, right from, in fact, I could do a quick demo here, right from the Home app within Apple's iOS, right? Any modern iPod Touch, iPhone, or iPad with Apple's Home app, or using the Kwikset app or another third-party HomeKit app can control it, because it's going its main connection, it's pretty much its only connection is Bluetooth. So I can just I can get the status. The top left basically is the lock, and I can initiate an unlock, and it'll take a second, and it'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to just leave it there. It has a 1-minute timeout, and it'll go ahead and relock itself. You can adjust that, or you can turn that off. And anyways, so yes, you do not need anything except your iPhone or an iOS device. That's the basic answer. The more advanced answer, of course, is if you do want to have control of it and get the status of the lock from outside your home, from outside of the Bluetooth range, you will have to get an Apple TV. You can do it with a 3rd generation device if you happen to have one, but most likely you're probably on the latest one, or you would buy a new Apple TV anyways. So that is the issue. That's kind of why I included this, because I included this question in the Q&As, because I get a number of these questions about the smart locks and about these Bluetooth devices, because people are like, well, does it work outside the home? Do I need a hub? Do I need something special? Do I need Wi-Fi? So let me make the blanket statement that the most of these, see, there goes the 1 minute. I have it on a 1 minute, but like I said, you can change that. It relocked itself in the background there. So most of these, and I don't want to say all, because I believe there's 1 or 2 that actually do use Wi-Fi, and they've got like some really big beefy batteries. But most of the companies have settled on either using Bluetooth, Zigbee, or Z-Wave for communications from the smart lock to either a hub or directly to your smartphone. The challenge, of course, is that Bluetooth is short range. You're not going to get Bluetooth over the internet. You're not going to get access to these devices unless you have some device that translates it, again, like an Apple TV or some kind of smart home hub. The other problem that we've had so far is that each lock, aside from HomeKit locks, which communicate to the Apple TV does the translation from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi and gets it on your network and thus gets it on the internet, and then you can get access to it from anywhere. That also does work with an iPad, by the way, that's plugged into power all the time, and it will also work with the upcoming HomePod that comes out in December that we'll probably hear more about at the iPhone, whatever it's going to be called, event, which will probably be in mid-September. Usually it's like the 9th or 10th of September, whenever that usually is. So the problems thus far that we have, especially with these Bluetooth locks and almost with many of the Bluetooth devices that are not HomeKit, because Apple established HomeKit as kind of a standard. So the problem is, take like the August smart lock. I've had this for nearly, going on 3 years soon. I haven't used it since January because I've been doing a lot of testing and working with the Quickset. But, and I'm going to be testing some additional smart locks coming up over the next few months. But, they're all battery operated. They're generally run on 2 or 4 AA batteries, or they've got some kind of proprietary rechargeable battery inside. And if you want to get access to them, like if you're not in the HomeKit world, the modern version of the August smart lock supports HomeKit, it supports Lady A, supports Google Assistant, supports a number of these systems. But if you're not in the HomeKit world, you have to get the August Connect device, which is a little plug-in bridge device. This guy translates the August Bluetooth to its own Wi-Fi, to your Wi-Fi, but it does it in its own way. Oh, crickets. If you can hear it, it must be summer. So the challenge is, a lot of times, many devices that you get that are Bluetooth, such as smart locks, wind up with each of these devices. And they're becoming kind of a pain, but luckily, the Bluetooth working group has introduced Bluetooth 5. There's a Bluetooth mesh technology that is coming out. Some older Bluetooth devices like that support Bluetooth 4 are actually remotely capable in terms of they can be remotely updated from a manufacturer and just push out a firmware update and boom, they're good to go. Bluetooth 5 and Bluetooth Mesh bring the ability of having devices talk to each other and also bring the ability to have universal devices that will bridge Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which is really important so that we all don't wind up with a zillion of these individual little bridge devices in our home. And if you look at the SmartThings Hub, it has Bluetooth on board, not activated yet, even as of recently. They just haven't done anything with it. Whatever they're waiting on, maybe they were waiting on Bluetooth 5 and Bluetooth Mesh, don't know. It would be a good question for Samsung, but people have been asking for it for years. But it's in the SmartThings Hub, it's just not turned on. Another company famously talked about it earlier this year was iLumi with their special Bluetooth mesh tech bulbs that they have, their smart lighting technology that, again, for now, really only works with your phone and you can't control it remotely. They're working on a device that's going to bridge Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. They said they're going to be able to do it in a universal manner as well. So all of this just gets back to the fact that no, you don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need a special system to be able to control these smart locks or practically any device that is a Bluetooth device. I've talked about and reviewed the Elgato sensors. I'm going to be reviewing one of the motion sensors from Fibaro coming up as well, and one of their products. And you don't need in general, although with some of them, but let me just focus on the smart locks, and specifically if I talk about Bluetooth devices. Bluetooth only devices, and specifically in the HomeKit world, you don't need a special Wi-Fi network, you don't need a special home hub, you don't need anything. You can control it without a problem from your iOS device, a modern iPhone. I guess HomeKit is really, they really want you on the latest and greatest. But Apple does a pretty good job going back a number of generations of iPhone. So usually they want you on at least iOS 10, and of course they're going to push iOS 11 as soon as that launches next month. But the basic premise is you don't need anything special. You can operate it no problem from your phone. But if you want to get access to it and do automations with it remotely, so that all of that stuff runs, such as checking, I guess you really wouldn't run that many automations overnight, but like a good night automation or a checking, when you're going to bed, or if your house is sort of being put to sleep overnight, you want to double check the locks are locked and so forth, you can accomplish that. But HomeKit will store those automations in an iPad, it'll store them in the HomePod, it'll store them in the Apple TV. And otherwise, again, those devices act as a bridge to get you from your HomeKit Bluetooth devices out to the internet so you can control them remotely from your iOS device. So again, that's the basics of it. I wanted to talk about the August and talk about the Bluetooth. That device, again, like I said, does come in a couple different variations. So if you're not in the HomeKit world, you like the look of it, they make a few different variations of it. I think that's that's definitely the answer to your question, Jackie. So thank you for writing in or for commenting. And as always, I get back to everyone on the questions beforehand, before the shows. But anyways, that's the answer to that. And I think I've covered pretty much everything I want to speak about. It's going to get better. We're most likely looking at later this year, if not early in 2018, before we see these Bluetooth to Wi-Fi bridges, these universal devices. Bluetooth 5 just was officially approved late 2016. Bluetooth Mesh was just officially announced just about a month ago, 5 weeks ago. And again, these devices get updated slowly. Also, the HomeKit world is being kind of thrown for a loop because Apple is opening it up. They're making it easier for HomeKit to be adapted to technologies and devices instead of just requiring a dedicated chipset that they have in the past. And I think that's about it. So if I have potentially confused you some more, sorry about that, but I think I got the basic premise of your question answered. If you've got yourself or anyone else, again, questions at smarterhomelife.com. It's the best way to reach me. And of course, there's the one-on-one consulting sessions that I do as well. And again, just shoot me an email, ask me a question, and I'll get back to you. So that is that. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, so I said I was changing up the format of the Q&As, kind of moving some things around. So the house ads, the housekeeping stuff, the Patreon stuff is now going to be in the middle, so we kind of get on with the questions initially. But don't fast forward, don't close it out, don't hit mute, don't hit delete or something like that. This is really important now more than ever. I know that sounds cliche. I talk about Patreon and signing up every single month. You're probably tired of hearing it, but at this point, if you did want to support the show, this is the time to do it. And this really sounds like some weird infomercial or a pledge drive. And to be honest, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It is a pledge drive, right? I am asking you, I am encouraging you to help support Smarter Home Life, because the truth is that this is a make or break moment. It's do or die. It's over the next few weeks and into September, depending on how the fundraising drive works. Smarter Home Life can either continue as a full-time venture, or it is going to go back to a part-time venture. It could go back to a very, very, very part-time venture, or it could go on hold for an indefinite period of time. I have worked over the past 3.5 years of my life, sometimes working this essentially as 2 full-time jobs, this and something else. And I've been lucky enough over the past 2 years to essentially be able to run this nearly full-time. And I'm doing that here in the last 2 weeks of August to kind of show you what Smarter Home Life could be when we're creating a tremendous amount of content every single day. And eventually there will be more voices, more people involved with the show, with the website, with social media. But of course, all of that takes revenue. Now, there's one way that it could be done. Smarter Home Life could turn into a sponsored channel where companies sponsor the videos directly, they sponsor the website posts, and we put brands and ads over everything. And it also then forces me and other people involved with Smarter Home Life to sing the praises of these products, which I don't think that you want to see that happen, because you come to Smarter Home Life, you watch these videos, you read the website content, you subscribe to us through the various means on social media and whatnot, because it's objective opinions. It's the honest truth, although there's a catchphrase and a silly line there. But that's why you're here, because I can give you the truth about these products and services, because I'm not being paid by someone to say, yes, you really should buy this thing because it's awesome, and someone paid me $5,000 to do it. Now, if you want me to do that, all right, well, I might consider it. But I think the better way is to continue building this great fan base, to continue building a real community of people who want to support this, which is independent media, to support it directly. And right now I'm making it really easy. It's super simple. So I'm releasing, I call it the 14 in 14 campaign. So I'm releasing new content over 14 days at the end of August, basically from the 18th through the 31st. And we're trying to get to a campaign goal of 1414 per month on Patreon. So everything is around this 14 number. I came up with it in early August. Anyhow, the goal is to be completely independent one day of the ad system entirely and get rid of all the ads. But for right now, the ad revenue is important from YouTube and from, say, affiliate links on Amazon, but they don't quite cover the bills. They don't quite keep the lights on. So to balance that out, that's why there's Patreon and there's one-off ways to support the show as well. So speaking of that, we've nearly tripled the amount of contributions coming in and pledges. It sounds like a pledge drive. Like I said, it's a pledge drive. I'm not going to sugarcoat this thing. Michael, Hasmook, Jeffrey, Paul, Norden, Reed, Grayson, BJ, Mike, and many, many more have come in just over the past couple of days. Some at the lower level, some even at the higher level at $49 a month. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for everyone coming on board. During this time, this kind of member drive, this sort of preview period, at the $1 level, I mean, what do you have to lose? You could go to the store and you could buy this lovely can of crushed pineapple, probably for 99 cents or $1. Or you could support the show. Now, pineapple is good for you. I probably do recommend that you have some pineapple sometimes, but you could probably use the dollar to support Smarter Home Life, to support independent media going forward. And for the $1 now, you're getting a lot more than just your name on the website, which you always get that, no matter what level you are, you're at. But everyone who's come on board, just this past Saturday, there was the live hangout video that I did so that everyone can know what's going on, all the internal workings and what's coming up in terms of a preview. I even did a little product demo that I haven't yet done for the public on that video. You'll get access to that because, of course, it's recorded. You'll get access to all the past behind-the-scenes stuff and all of the little upcoming sneak peeks, which, of course, are in the past now, but still, it's important. Then, of course, 2 bonus things coming up in September, the making of the Tiny Smart Home Tour. That's the behind the scenes, all the production stuff, how the shots were done, some of the secrets that will not be revealed to the public. And the second production, the second bonus, is what I'm calling Smart Home, a music video. Both of those will get completed once we reach the goal in September. So this is the make or break moment. It is the time for Smart Home to shine. It is a monthly budget allows for things like product purchases that don't come from the manufacturers. Sometimes they're nice enough to send products to Smarter Home Life to review. Other times, well, they have to be purchased. And all that stuff, like with any business, all of it has to come from some kind of budget. So the better off, the more solid foundation that Smarter Home Life can have, the better. So I'm encouraging everyone watching this video, you come here for advice, you come here for the knowledge. So I simply ask you, if you've learned something over the past couple years, pledge $1, head over to patreon.com/smarterhomelife, pledge $1. You'll feel great about doing it. You'll be supporting this channel and allowing it to continue to exist, to literally exist. So, but you might be saying, I don't like virtual things. Like, I need something more tangible, right? Well, there might be something, it might be possible that we might have something for you. Oh, look at this incredible product placement, right? Can you believe it? A shirt and a mug. Right now, there's a ton more. We happen to be in the middle of a merchandise drive as well. Can you believe it? It's the end of August. All of this stuff is coalescing, and all of this merchandise is going to disappear at the end of this coming weekend. So it may or may not be available again. Multiple different designs, t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, stickers, tote bags, all kinds of stuff. smarterhomelife.com/gear will get you over there. Let me just take a sip of that lovely beverage. It's water. But anyways, smarterhomelife.com/gear will forward you over to Teespring. They manage everything. They're the ones who do, everyone uses Teespring, and they've got a great system. You go in and you buy it, and when the campaign ends, they will go ahead and make all the products and ship them out to you. All of the proceeds go to help support Smarter Home Life, and you get some cool stuff, right? You get to just, take it to the office or wear a shirt or whatever. There's even a shirt that says, my smart home is smarter than yours. So you can start like a friendly competition. Anyways, I'll get off the soapbox. I've probably already talked for way too long. When in doubt, do both. Sign up on Patreon and get yourself some awesome Smarter Home Life gear. And otherwise, if this possibly is one of the final Q&As, thank you so much for all your support, for all your comments, and for everything over the years. I'm not going to cry. And I don't want to get out the chicken again either, because that was just really silly. So anyways, head over to patreon.com/smarterhomelife. Pledge $1 and save the show. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about how you can support the show. I'm just kidding. I promise. Don't tune out. Don't tune out. Don't leave. Okay. The next question comes in from Tony Ferber. Comment on the CoolGeek socket review. That's this product. Thankfully supplied by CoolGeek, but they did not tell me to just sing the praises, so I gave you my objective information about it. It's a reasonable product. It doesn't dim. Come on, guys. Make dimmable products. Anyways, as this operates only on the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum, that's correct, then if my iPhone is connected to the same router via 5 gigahertz, which is the same thing with my same setup I have here, it's a dual band router, will I still be able to control the light? And we kind of went back on a couple different questions related to this topic. But the gist of it is saying that these devices, pretty much, I'm going to make the blanket statement, almost all smart home devices are on the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi band, if they're on Wi-Fi at all. If they're on something else like Zigbee or Z-Wave, it's a totally different wireless. Some of them also are at 2.4. But anyways, so Wi-Fi has 2.4 gigahertz and it has 5. The 5 gigahertz is overall it gives you faster data. It doesn't travel as far. It doesn't travel as well through walls and so forth. That's what 2.4 does. And 2.4 gigahertz is the older standard, and it's a little more prevalent. The chips are probably a little bit less expensive. And so we've seen basically all of these devices do that exact thing. I can't talk tonight. We've seen most of these devices become 2.4 gigahertz devices. And again, this is the CoolGeek socket. You screw light bulbs into it, you can control it. It does on-off, and that's pretty much about it. I think it probably does energy monitoring as well. Check out the review for full details. So there's the gist of it is, no, there's no issue controlling from your iPhone on 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, if 2.4 gigahertz, because basically if you have a dual band Wi-Fi router and you set it up to create both networks, which is optional, it doesn't do that necessarily automatically for you, but it will create two networks, one at the 2.4 gigahertz level and one at the 5, and each one will support the different devices that you choose to connect to it. This is also what happens if you're setting up a device. Let me think about something like an August, like I just talked about. When you're setting up something like this, like an August Connect or any other non-HomeKit, let's say non-HomeKit Wi-Fi device, like a LifeX bulb or something like that, many times you have to, if you're on a 5 gigahertz network already on your device, on your iOS device, on your Android device, you have to drop back onto your 2.4 gigahertz network so that the phone, because it's really weird, because some of the devices will force you to connect to the device's Wi-Fi, and then they'll figure out what your Wi-Fi network is going to be, because you'll give it your Wi-Fi network name, you'll give it the password and all that manual stuff, which HomeKit kind of takes care of for you. So you never usually have to worry about that with HomeKit, but you do with other devices. So, but again, once you get things set up, you're fine. I have this iPhone is on a someone else just liked my photo. Great. Of the Eclipse. I got a lot of Instagram notifications. So this iPhone is on 5 gigahertz network, on 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi by default. And all of my other smart home devices around here that are on Wi-Fi networks, they're all on 2.4, and everything coexists just nicely. Of course, the 2.4 gigahertz band is getting very crowded these days because, of course, a lot of stuff is on it, from microwaves to, again, Bluetooth uses that frequency, all of these smart home devices. So we're thinking that one day these smart home devices are going to start moving to the 5 gigahertz network as well, but right now they seem to all be focused on the 2.4 gigahertz network. So the gist of it is you shouldn't have a problem, but if you're not doing HomeKit, you may have to play like network, what would that, I don't want to say network frisbee, network musical chairs a little bit to jump between networks to get the devices. I just cannot speak tonight. It's just strange. I'm trying to talk too fast. That's probably what it is. You may have to play a little bit of a game of musical chairs, moving your networks around on your device and getting it connected to non-HomeKit devices, because Apple takes care of that and kind of hands the network credentials to those devices for you. So otherwise, that's pretty much the answer, and that's it. So thank you to Tony for commenting on that, and we had a good discussion, and here it is. I already answered your question through the comment system, but otherwise here it is on the Q&A. So let's move on to the final question. Okay, so the final question comes in from Matthew B. He sent in an email, so very, very good. Again, questions@smarterhomelife.com. It's the best way to get a hold of me for any reason. Hi, I've been loving your videos. Thank you. I love to make them. I hope I can continue making them. If you haven't thought about supporting us on Patreon, well, you know what to do. Patreon.com/smarterhomelife. Very informative. I'm remodeling my home. I get a lot of these emails about people remodeling their homes, and I've helped several of you with the consulting sessions directly, and it's been great. I'm remodeling my home and planning on setting up home automation through HomeKit. Cool. It's kind of the theme of the show, I think, is a HomeKit show for this episode of the Q&As. New thermostat, Haiku fans when they support HomeKit, smart lock, and lighting. Haiku fans are really cool, but very expensive. My biggest question is controlling lighting through the app as well as through traditional means. That's what I preach. Like, you still have to have traditional switches and dimmers. If you get rid of everything, you're gonna hate your life. Anyways, I have a hanging light in the dining room that has 2 switches connect to it, so it's a multi-way. We call it a 3-way switch, even though it seems strange, but it's 2 switches and 1 load device. Is there a way to replace this switch so I can turn it on and off from either switch, as well as control it remotely through HomeKit, including dimming? The only thing I've found that comes close is the Plum or Leviton, and he had a model number, which is their new HomeKit version. So the answer is yes. Any insight would be helpful. I'm sure in a few months I'll need to set up a home video consultation. Please do, to finalize my home automation plans. Thank you. Thank you for writing in and the nice long email, and I kind of already chatted with him about that. So the answer is yes, there's no issue with it, and there's 4 different, including KooGeek. Well, actually, I'm going to exclude them at this point because I couldn't find details. So he mentioned Leviton. In addition, there, of course, is Lutron with the Casita system. There's iDevices, who just launched a few days ago their dimmer that they promised for months, as well as... actually, I guess you could do it with Elgato. I don't know that they support the 3-way. I don't think they do. And it doesn't support dimming. And KooGeek, the guys I just mentioned on this guy with their smart socket, and I've got the upcoming review of their smart bulb, which just launched as well. KooGeek has a dimmer that's HomeKit compatible, but looking at the specs, which they don't have that many specs listed, it did not appear to support 3-way dimming or 3-way ability. Lutron Casita does. Lutron, of course, has been in business for like 100 years. They invented dimming as we know it. So this is not the Casita, because I have the Casita modules that are the plug-in. I don't have them as the wall versions. But this is kind of similar looking. I'll show you another device here in a second. This is a Lutron product. This is a non-smart product. It's simply a digital dimmer. It's their Maestro CL dimmer. But the benefit that you get with the Lutron is you get this light bar along the side. You can kind of see that if the camera will focus on it. The little LEDs on the left side of the device will give you the status by just looking at it. And it's a very elegant way, but to see, to know what light level you're at without even looking at the lights if they're kind of in the next room or something like that. And it's a nice rocker device, but this is the non-smart version. The smart version kind of replaces the middle piece here with this, and this is their Pico remote. If I kind of hold this up side by side here, you can see the differences a little bit here. So you'll see that you get a couple different buttons. It looks a little bit different. So basically the guts of the middle piece is replaced by what this looks like. And what they do is, instead of doing a companion dedicated wire-in switch, they have you use a wireless Pico remote, and they have a kit to mount this in a traditional wall box that would be a traditional, it would look like it's really mounted, but you could actually, these are magnetic and they kind of just snap in. So you would have one that would be wired in, and the reason I'm mentioning Lutron is because they're really, really good. iDevices is still relatively new, and their dimmer is also brand new. There are basically almost no reviews of it out there, and it's very expensive. So Lutron is a little bit less expensive, but you do need a hub. The iDevices solution does not require a hub at all, but the Lutron, you have to start with a starter kit. So you would wind up with probably 2 of these, even though you would only use one for the master, and then you could control it from multiple locations as kind of a slave, because you'd be using these Pico remotes, and you could get as many of these as you want. Lutron's other products have dedicated companion devices, which is similar to their non-casita devices, which is similar to Leviton's roadmap or products for HomeKit. They have a dedicated master, and then they have sort of companion or slave devices that would be for the additional locations. Usually it's up to 4, which means that you can have up to 3 different wired in devices controlling a single light or some sort of load, whether it's lights, or if you get these in an on-off variety, you could do it with a ceiling fan or some type of appliance. I don't know why you would have an appliance running in your ceiling. So Lutron does it wirelessly with the ability to have many different Pico remotes, and you could have these sitting on a tabletop as well. They don't have to be wall mounted. And the Leviton is a little bit more on the traditional side with a master and sort of a slave device. iDevices, and I don't have their product here, like I said, just launched. iDevices is the most expensive of all of them. They say it's because it's a lifestyle product. I say it's because, well, they've got to charge a lot of money because they're a startup, but that's neither here nor there. And they just were acquired by another company, so we're going to see how they develop over the next year. iDevices requires you to buy the full dimmer device for every single location. You can have up to 3 different locations, which would basically be up to 4-way, because it's a 3-way switch. You could do a 4-way switch. iDevices are $100 a piece for their dimmer, for their in-wall dimmers. They're very sleek looking. I'll probably put up a shot of one here on the screen. They've got a nice little night light that's customizable with color changing LEDs. It's a beautiful device. I just think it's really pricey at $100. Now, iDevices, iDevices and the Lutron system are compatible beyond HomeKit. So if you wanted to use Lady A or the Google Assistant to gain voice control, and if you didn't want to use Siri, you have that option. The Leviton device is HomeKit only. The KooGeek device, their dimmer, is also HomeKit only. Again, I think it's only a single pole install. I don't know that they support 3- and 4-way locations. So again, that gets into more interesting wiring, especially for the Leviton side and especially for iDevices. It's a lot simpler for the Lutron system because you're only replacing one location, and then you're basically capping off the wires on the other side and then putting in a Pico remote and installing it like there would be a wall switch. So There's a lot more information on the individual websites, and I'll link to that in the companion article. The companion article, because we're kind of late in the day, may not go up for 24 hours on smarterhomelife.com, but I'll try to include some of the links to these products in the video description right on YouTube, because I'm trying to get this out here before the end of the day. So kind of a complicated answer, but these are complicated, sometimes complicated questions. If you're not sure about how to do wiring, especially with multi-way wiring, which can get really weird depending on how the house is wired as well, and which one truly is the kind of the master device and which one is the, not really the, you can call it the slave device, but it's, you have a traveler wire that goes to it. So it can be a little bit screwy. If you're not sure how to do it, please contact an electrician. Smarter Home Life is not here to offer electrical advice, because then you'll try it and then you'll say we screwed it up and your house burned down. So please seek the advice of an electrician or a qualified individual to help you out if you've got electrical issues. That's for all the time when you're going in and doing any kind of wiring with replacing outlets, replacing switches and dimmers and so forth, and ceiling fans, all that. If you're not comfortable, seek a higher power. Seek someone who's got a little bit more knowledge. And that is, I think, the end of that question. And we conversed again already over email, but I wanted to put this out there because I think it's important. I get a lot of these questions about multi-way circuits and so forth. And again, everything I mentioned does also do dimming. I really firmly believe in dimming. I don't think that for any type of lighting application, unless it's like a laundry room or maybe a garage, that maybe you don't want to worry about dimming. But otherwise, please put in dimmers when at all possible. I know that they might be a little bit more expensive sometimes than traditional switches, but you'll thank me later. So speaking of saying thanks, thank you to Matthew B for your email, writing in, and there was the answer. And that's it again. Questions at smarterhomelife.com is the best way to get a hold of me. And let's go ahead and wrap up the show. So that's the end of this Q&A, and I really hope this is not the last home automation Q&A for Smarter Home Life. I'm pretty hopeful. I'm really hopeful that we are going to hit the fundraising goal. We're going to do really, really well. I want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who has signed up so far, and many of you who have been supporting Smarter Home Life directly on some form or another for over 2 years. There are some of you who are really long-term. So I encourage you, if you've been thinking about it, please think about heading over to patreon.com/smarterhomelife. Pledge $1. It'll be the best thing that you've done in a long time. You'll love it. You'll get all these cool updates, and you'll want to support the show for a long time to come. As always, you can subscribe here on YouTube if you're brand new to Smarter Home Life. We're on the web at smarterhomelife.com. Periodic updates to the website. It is a challenge to keep up with everything video and web content wise, but there are some pieces of content on the website that are unique to the website, and there are some obviously that are unique to here on YouTube. And sometimes if it makes sense to have a companion or an expanded article out there, that's when that happens. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, of course, soon to be on Pinterest as well. Again, it's tough to keep up with all of this stuff. Additional funding and additional revenue and budgeting allows eventually to have a staff of people besides me taking care of all this to make excellent content, great stuff on life in the smarter home for you and for the world in general. I'm Joe DeGanzik. Thank you for watching this Q&A. There's another one coming up right after this one. Well, not immediately, but shortly, on the LED lighting stuff, and kind of a little tinge of home automation in that one as well. And that's it. Thanks for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time.